Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and a very special finale week edition of My Mom's Basement. It's Robbie, Fox, and Clem, and this week we are here to break down the finale and I guess full seasons of The Acolyte, The Boys, The Bear, and we're also going to get into some Marvel news. Clem, how we feeling?
We're feeling great, Bob. It's finale week. Finale week. Finale week. Finale week. Finale. How do we get the fireworks on the computer here? Do we remember how to do that? Thumbs up.
I never have the special effects on mine. I was pre-special edition.
I might just next year's finale week. I'm gonna light up actual fireworks in my house. The basement will be on fire, but it's worth it because finale week comes but once a year. Or this is actually our first one ever, so we'll see how it goes. Perfect storm of 3 shows all having their finale the same week. Kind of fudged it with the Bear a little, though. Let's be honest, it's a binge show. But hey, I think this was a normal time to finish the Bear. You finished it around now, right? So I think that's a fair way to do it.
I think so as well. I'm excited for next year's finale week already, just to back up Terry in Clem's basement.
Put it in reverse, Daddy. That's me, my kids. AJ will probably be my fucking pyromaster at that point. He'll probably be lighting Roman candles.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I've seen people do that every year with the Roman candles. It looks like a Harry Potter battle, the way that they like swing it. It's crazy. I would never do something like that. I'd be afraid of the JPP, was it, that blew his hands off?
Yes, JPP. Yeah.
Yep. I know you probably can't do that with a Roman candle, but I would be afraid I would be able to.
Dude, I remember blogging videos. This was during when we're it was during the pandemic, and it was like, are we like crumbling as a society? And people were just having fireworks fights in the middle of the Bronx, and like Roman candles, bottle rockets, and then like someone takes out like one of the big boys, and you're just like, what is going on? This is the end of times. So I don't know if we'll go that crazy, but it's finale week. I told you. We started 15 minutes late because I had to get my coffee and I needed the caffeine to start working. I can't have one of those low caffeine Clem days for finale week of all days. So the caffeine is just hitting now, and we are ready to rock for finale week.
So before we do get into all of the finales, we have some Marvel news to talk about. And I wasn't planning on putting news into the podcast, but I was like, okay, we can't not talk about this stuff. The first of which being we finally got a trailer for Captain America Brave New World. And honestly, I think it looks pretty fucking good. I know I'm the Cap guy in the podcast, but this trailer looked a lot better than I thought the trailer was going to look. I was like pretty satisfied with it.
That's a good way to put it. It looked better than I thought it was going to look. It's going to be very hard to... It's just hard to be like, that's Captain America, because the other Captain America was that for so long. And with me in comic books... Once they changed the character, I was usually out by that point. I didn't have a very long comic book run, and it was always just I never would see a new character taking over the mantle as like that guy. So it is just weird. It's like, no, that's Falcon, guys. Let's not call it bullshit here. So it is one of those things that's just hard for my brain to process. But I love the Harrison Ford line about how to get rid of the mustache. If you want win the election, got to lose the mustache or something like that. Yeah. So I like that line. Like you said,
I thought you were going to mention him in terms of it being hard for your brain to understand, because I love Harrison Ford, but that was my first thought watching the trailer. It's like, oh yeah, he is the exact same Ross that we've known throughout the MCU. He's the one trying to arrest the superheroes for the Civil War shit, the Soviet Accords, whatever. Like, it's going to take a little bit, but I think it's cool that Harrison Ford's playing the president again.
So that actually is a very fair point. I didn't think about that. I like Harrison Ford. I should hate Ross though, right? Because Ross has just been a fucking prick. So because of that, yeah, I think it's going to be hard to like really turn the hate meter on for Harrison Ford. I'm like, no, that's Han Solo. That guy saved the fucking galaxy multiple times. We love Harrison Ford. So there are some definite issues with it. I still am going into the movie with low expectations, hoping to be surprised. I think pretty much anything that was made before like Iger came out is like, all right, we're gonna stop. We got to cut the shit here. This is one of those ones, especially I think we've heard rewrites and reshoots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we, obviously the show we didn't really love. So because of that, I'm going in with low expectations. But I mean, you had your moment. We got Gus Fring. We found out where he is now. But I love Giancarlo Esposito. Great guy, great actor. That's Gus Fring for me forever. He's not Moff. He's not anyone else. He is fucking Gus Fring. So good to see. We now know where he is involved. And then obviously the Red Hulk reveal was kind of the big, oh shit moment there, right?
Him throwing the shield into the ground, that looked really cool. It's just a cool visual. I thought the teaser poster was cool too, of the Red Hulk hand holding the Captain America shield. But yeah, Gus Fring looks like a badass. Every time they cut to him, I think there's like maybe 3 total seconds of him in the trailer. Everyone made me more and more hyped up. He looked like De Niro in Heat or something. The way he was like holding the gun with the sunglasses, ducking around the cars or whatever. I thought all that was cool. The fact that they're becoming the new Simpsons with predictions. They have a fucking trailer where Isaiah Bradley stands up and tries to assassinate the president, and then it happens 2 days later. And the fact that they had to do reshoots because there was like an Israeli supervillain storyline in this, and they're like, I don't think we should touch that right now. And the fact that Falcon and Winter Soldier had like a global pandemic storyline before COVID, that's a little weird.
We are. I don't know if we're even reaching Simpsons point. It's like we're there, we're past that, because Simpsons has 8 billion episodes. They're gonna get one right here or there. There's not that many MCU projects, no matter how much we bitch about how much they've been pumping out. And the fact they've already hit, like, those are big fucking moments too. And it's also just kind of a product of the simulation. There's a virus in it. We've gone fucking crazy and we're off the rails. Stranger than fiction, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hadn't even put the two together. I forgot about the assassination attempt in the trailer, and then Brandon Clancy sent me like, "Wait a minute, so did this happen?" Right? In the trailer, like, oh fuck! So,
and we'll get to that with the boys later on as well.
Yes. Oh god, yeah.
Fucked. It's fucked. Huge news came down this week. I don't believe it's confirmed yet, but it came from the Hollywood Reporter, very reputable source. I believe this is pretty much going to happen. The Russo brothers are in talks to direct Avengers 5 and Secret Wars, just like they did Infinity War and Endgame back to back. You could attach the same directors to them here. And there's also rumors of Avengers 5 being Avengers versus X-Men. People are saying that could get announced as soon as next week at Hall H San Diego Comic-Con. This is it just made me feel so happy. It made my heart feel so warm that the Russo brothers are coming home. I know that after they directed Infinity War and Endgame, they probably wanted a break from the spectacle, crazy superhero movie. They went off. They did a couple of their own movies with the utmost respect to them. I don't think those movies panned out how they thought they would. Like, I think when you direct the biggest movie of all time, you think we're going to go on and become the next Christopher Nolan or something. That's not really what has happened with the Russo brothers. They've produced some stuff here and there that's done really well. They produced Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. So, like, they have some successes since Endgame. But I just can't imagine this is how they thought their careers were going to go. Marvel, kind of the same thing. Everyone's saying the MCU hasn't been the same since Endgame, Infinity War. We're not giving the Russos all the credit in the world for the entire Infinity Saga, but they made Civil War. They made The Winter Soldier. They made the 2 best Avengers movies. Everyone, I think, is in agreement that they know how to make movies in this universe. The MCU, the Russo brothers, that's a match made in heaven. I guess the question here is, are they coming back together because it's a match made in heaven, or because both sides are a little bit desperate right now and they need each other? I think this is a positive, though. In the words of the Smart Hulk, I see this as an absolute win. I don't trust anyone in the world more with an Avengers movie at this point than these two. They have the proven track record.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. I think Marvel knows they can't. You can fuck up a TV show here and there. You can fuck up a couple movies, even something like Ant-Man that was so hyped. You fuck up an Avengers movie, that is code red. It's whatever's darker than red, maroon, purple. Like, that's bad news bears, especially when you're supposed to be wrapping up phases and stuff based on that. And I do agree. There is a part of me that feels like, oh shit, we got to go back to the well. Oh, we got to go back to Tatooine here, just to, like, rope the audience back in. And I say it all the time, podcast. I like seeing growth. I like seeing new stuff, new people. They have fucked up this last phase or 2, whatever the fuck it is, so badly. Let's be honest. We've talked about it here on the pod enough times. We've reviewed all the pieces of content they've done. They just need to get a win here. And it's like aim small, miss small kind of a thing. They're going to do a good job. They care. Secret Wars in particular was like their passion, right? That's something they wanted to do. Yeah. And I'm sure Disney is not, they're not getting a discount, Disney. We'll say that. I'm sure these guys are going to, they're sliding their number and they're expecting that number to be slid back with like a check mark next to it from Feige. So good for them. It almost feels like, as much as I'd love to like try a new director out, or every Avengers movie we could start growing, at the same point, there's something kind of nice. It's like, all right, we're gonna bring in Mariano Rivera now. We're gonna bring in the closer. They're gonna wrap this all up perfectly and put a bow on it like no one else can. And yeah, we can't miss with these because we've missed a lot along the way.
Yeah. It's a good point to bring up that Secret Wars is kind of like a passion project for them. It's not just like, oh, I guess we'll sign up for whatever the next Avengers movie is. Since Endgame, pretty much everyone would ask them, like, hey, would you guys ever do another Marvel movie? Would you come back for the next Avengers movie? And they've always said, since like 2019, Secret Wars is the only thing that could bring us back. They're like, we really loved Secret Wars growing up in the comics. They were passionate about it. They loved everything, the storyline, the Venom stuff, all of that. They're like, that could bring us back. They said it would be a much bigger spectacle than Endgame, though. So that would be tough to top. And it's like, geez, if they're already thinking, like, how do we top Endgame? Shit, I don't want to make myself too excited, but it sounds pretty sweet.
Sounds pretty sweet. This is the only thing, though. Like, Endgame did have, like, layers and layers of great characters, great stories that you were wrapping up. You're just thinking of what's left in the MCU right now. Like, you're thinking of your toy box, right? Like,
Yeah.
all right, Iron Man's out of the toy box. He's not in there anymore. Cap is a different one. We've just changed Cap's clothing from the Falcon to Cap. The old Cap is gone. Black Panther, obviously, gone. We got the X-Men. But this is the thing. We're dumping in all the toys from Deadpool. That's going to be in the mix now.
You got a new bin.
You got a new bin worth of stuff. I'm like thinking in my mind's eye at AJ's toy chest right now because he has all these things. He was fighting Mr. Sinister and Beast, and he goes, Beast is a bad guy now, but Mr. Sinister's a bad guy too. But they're fighting each other, and I'm like, that's basically what the Russo brothers are doing. They're going to figure out ways to make all this shit go down. With another piece of news I'm sure you're going to touch as well that can make things very funky and cool. So, I mean, you have to be excited. What is our biggest, like, with all these projects, whenever they flop, it's like the director or producer comes down like, yeah, I really don't care about Marvel, and I kind of just wanted to try something my own way. And it's like, well, like, you could do that, but you suck at it clearly because you just created a flaming hot pile of shit. So give it to them. I'm fine with it. We'll worry about Avengers 7 and 8 in a decade or whatever for, maybe a new set of directors to come out. Or we just give it back to the Russos and know they're going to do a good job. Also, I want to raise this question, Bob. Do you think, I think almost no matter what, there would have been a post-Endgame malaise or like, it would have just, it had to naturally slide down. But I do think a chunk of it was like the way the pandemic broke and, fucked all of Hollywood. Then we had a goddamn strike. So I don't want to blame it all on just poor writing and execution, but that, definitely was a big part of it. And it does suck. My biggest lost opportunity is I feel like we could have had some really cool content of the fallout from the snap and, the return and Endgame. That is just, at this point, it would be a little bit pandering. It would feel a little out of place now, 5 years later.
Yeah, I feel like we had a few projects that would tease or give us one scene of the fallout of the snap, and they were usually like the coolest scenes in the show. Like, I think back to WandaVision, the stuff with Maria Rambeau and her mom coming back and her not knowing what's happening in the hospital and seeing just the like panic in the hospital of like, oh my God, we don't have the beds for this. Like, that stuff was sweet. Even Wanda going back to try to get Vision's body from like the SHIELD headquarters or wherever he was being held. Like, that stuff was awesome, but it was usually, like I said, just one scene in one episode. Like, we could have done a whole show about the fallout of the snap. That would have been great. I also wanted to shout out Marcus and McFeely, the writers of Infinity War and Endgame, and I think the Captain America stuff. They're not coming back as of now, so that I'm not worried, but we don't know what's happening with the writers right now. Michael Waldron, our boy, was supposed to be writing, and then reports came out this week, not confirmed yet, that he's no longer writing it. That's the sort of thing that, like, I wish I could text him about it, but like, hey, bro, are you still on the movie? It's a weird thing to say. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that. I don't know. But you mentioned some wonky rumors, some things that could make this movie crazy. One of those rumors is that Robert Downey Jr. is in talks to come back as a Tony Stark variant that becomes Doctor Doom. And he would be the main villain of this story. That sounds insane. It also sounds like something I'm absolutely there for. Like we were saying, how do you cast Doctor Doom? You got to cast a huge guy. We were talking about like a Skarsgård, or we were talking about Cillian Murphy. You have to cast like an amazing actor. John Hamm as Doctor Doom. Robert Downey Jr., you're telling me you could make the main hero of the entire Infinity Saga, the main villain of the multiversal saga, gives him something new to do. Obviously, he loves the Russo brothers. I'm sure the fact that they're attached probably makes it more likely for everyone to come back. I'm sure they were going to come back regardless, But now this is probably like, oh, great, I'll get to go hang out with the Russos again. I'm in on this. I think this sounds cool.
It sounds very cool. It's one of those things I wish I didn't even know. I wish it was one of those things that just
Yeah.
kind of gets lumped on you, but that's so hard to do these days. I don't know if I love it as like a continual piece. I could maybe do it with it for a movie or an arc, a quick arc, but it does feel weird to then be like, all right, it kind of feels like, all right, we're bringing the Russo brothers back. And now Robert Downey Jr., he just switched sides. It's like we're doing the wrestling thing. It's like Ric Flair in the main event again. Are we really doing this? And now he's a good guy or a bad guy. It's Hollywood Hogan kind of stuff. So that part of me is like, I don't mind it as a part of a story, or, you know, we think he's the big bad, and then the real Dr. Doom, played by John Hamm or whoever it may be, comes in and kills him. He's like, yeah, I'm the bad motherfucker now. I'm the guy you're going to be dealing with for the next X amount of, you know, projects. So I swooned over it. I'm a RDJ guy. And I mean, let's be honest, your Cap said that Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is his favorite character in the MCU world.
That's what he's got to say, right? He can't pick himself. I would like to know Robert Downey Jr.'s answer. He'd probably be like, Tony Stark, of course.
I was going to say, he definitely would choose himself.
Also, I just realized I still have my birthday decorations behind me. I don't know if you could tell, but my girlfriend knocked it out of the park. Blink-182 style. It says, well, this is growing up. Well, I guess this is growing up. You know, damn it.
Lady Fox just crushing, man, as usual.
It's the second time she's thrown me a Blink-182 themed birthday. The first time was Nobody Likes You When You're 23. And then, well, I guess this is growing up. She nails it. She knocks it out of the park.
Our little Bob Fox, you know, approaching 30 now. Now you're in your late 20s. This is not cool, man. As an old myself, I don't like seeing everyone else get old. Even though I kind of like it a little bit, because I'm like, oh, like, I know, Glenny, at some point, those hangovers are going to start going into Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, Glenny, you're not living that, you know, you live your little life in your 40s. You wake up in the morning and you look through everyone's Instagram stories like, oh, that would seem like a good night at the Barstool Nashville bar. And it's like, yep, they're just up and at it the next day. I like to know when everyone starts, you know, then once the kids are born, oh, that's when I love it. Because then, you know, Captain Cons is talking about his daughter just running circles. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know what it was like. You know, I was dealing with that shit back when you didn't even think about having, because you didn't met your wife at that point, Cons.
Also, shout out, speaking of birthdays, July 19th. It is my brother Mike's birthday, former basement guest. So shout out my brother Mike. Also, the day before, my nephew Luke's birthday. It's a huge birthday month for the Foxes.
Brother Mike has he has his own seat in the basement. Like it just sits there. He has his own little recliner down here.
Yeah. And the last Marvel thing I had, Kevin Feige is now set to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Much deserved for someone that literally changed Hollywood.
It's always one of those things where like they didn't have one already, and it just always seems crazy. I know it's a very weird thing. You have to like donate money, someone has to kind of like raise it for you and like make a case for it. So it's more so I think when people want to actually do it, or someone convinces you or figures a charity out, that is when it gets done. So I have to say, this like kind of ending with these Russo brothers stuff with these Avengers movies. This is like a big part of Kevin Feige's legacy, right? It's like,
oh yeah,
he has it from the beginning to the end game. Everything incredible. I am not. The Trust of Feige light is not on in the basement right now.
Oh no! It's right before Deadpool and Wolverine. You don't put it on?
No, I can't put it on before. After,
right.
Movie. But Rob, I said I'm done with Trust of Feige until he proves it to me. And the only thing that's come out since then is X-Men 97. Granted, great show. It was a reboot of something that existed in the 90s. They knocked it out of the park, but it's like I can't give you credit for that when you're copying off the paper of someone from the 90s. Deadpool is kind of the same thing. It's going to probably, a lot of the stuff is going to be, you know, characters that already existed, the universe already existed. I need some world building, some character development. That's why this Captain America movie is pretty fucking big. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think Agatha is going to be, that's not going to be let on down here. So I'm telling you now, unless Deadpool 3 hits notes so high, I actually might turn the Trust of Ryan Reynolds light on.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Is that fair? But the Trust of Feige light, until further notice, is not on in the basement. But we're happy he gets his star. Trust the Feige light was on. There's no way this whiteboard has existed in this phase. We just know the whiteboard is not in use. Maybe it got lost in a move or something right now. So we have to find that whiteboard and fucking get cooking so the Russo brothers can wrap things up perfectly in Avengers 5 and 6.
Or maybe they didn't want to erase the whiteboard. They were like, we can't. This is a legendary whiteboard. We can't erase it. And then just the office manager never ordered a new one.
I'll be honest with you, Bob. I don't hate that. Like the whiteboard, a lot of sentimental, a lot of good memories on there, a lot of success, a lot of money. I go back. I just won my fantasy football championship last year. I look at my roster like once a week, and I'm like, I'll remember that week against when I got Debo, and he put up like 30, 40 points on the Eagles. So I'm fine with that, but we need a whiteboard or something digital. We need to get to the next phase and start crushing here.
All right, let's get into the finales. We're not going to break them down like beat by beat like we normally do. We'd be here all week if we tried to do that for all 3 shows.
Literal finale week.
I've actually tried to like break down my thoughts on each into the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're going to start with the Acolyte. I'll put the timestamps down below if you're watching on a video platform. They'll be in the description if you're listening on the podcast, so you could skip around. But we are going to spoil all of these shows. So right now, right up front, spoiler alert for the Acolyte, the Boys, the Bear, the finales, all of it. So the Acolyte, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Overall, I would say I thought the finale was really good. I thought it was maybe second only to episode 5, the lightsaber battle in the forest that we loved. There was some stuff in it that I hated, and we'll get into that. There was some stuff in it that I loved, though. So I was excited watching it, being like, all right, I think overall the finale brought the show up, and I think it'll be a fun finale to recap, because if you get a little bit of the stuff that you hate, it's like, all right, there's a little variety in this recap. What did you think of the finale, just broad strokes overall?
Yeah, I'm with you. There was some stuff I liked, I really liked. There was some stuff I was just like, ugh. I think some of the stuff I liked was a product of wrapping everything up, which they, I appreciate they did. But it's like, I also think, and this is the Redditization of TV shows. We've been through it a million times, dating back to True Detective season 1. I just think there was a better show out there. I think there was a better way to wrap up the murder mystery, even though we already saw it get wrapped up kind of last week. I think they could have still done some stuff here that would have made me feel better. But I tried to think of a comparison for the whole series, and I came up with this one. It is a niche reference, Bob. If you don't understand, I completely understand. I think the things they did well, they did incredible. And I think the things they did bad, it was some of the worst stuff I've seen in Star Wars. And basically, if I had to compare the Acolyte season 1 to an NBA player, it is Mac McClung. Do you know who Mac McClung is?
God, no.
He is a 2-time NBA Slam Dunk champion winner. NBA Slam Dunk champion. Slam Dunk contest champion, excuse me. He is incredible. He's this little white dude. He just does shit. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I've never seen that done. In the dunk contest, which has become very repetitive, he brings new shit there. That's kind of what the Acolyte did with a lot of the lightsaber fights, a lot of just, the overall force, like abilities they showed. And even like, obviously we're going to get into some of the cameos and stuff like that. Very cool shit. Mac McClung is not an NBA player. He's basically a development player, and it's someone, if you have him on your team, you're probably not a good team. If he's playing for your team, you're a bad team, probably tanking for the number 1 pick. So I think Acolyte at its best, and listen, Mac McClung, you go watch his dunk highlights, they're fucking incredible. If I watch the, YouTube highlights of the Acolyte, I'm probably like, holy shit, this show was great. And then you actually watch the whole thing, and you're just like, oh. So Mac McClung, the Acolyte season 1, guarantee nobody else made that comparison.
No, definitely not.
Star Wars content creator universe.
And I saw a tweet that kind of goes along what you were saying there. Like if you were just to watch the highlights on YouTube or something, you'd be like, holy shit, they were cooking with this show. I saw someone tweet and basically say it was the moment from this episode where Chimere throws his 2 lightsabers at Soul, and Soul has this badass like force throw back at him. So someone posted that, and then another person quote tweeted it and said, every time I see a clip from this show, it's someone saying they ruined Star Wars, and it's the coolest shit I've ever seen. And it's like, all right, yeah, I understand that. And only a Sith deals in absolutes. So we need to understand that this show falls in between the coolest shit ever and the worst shit ever. It's not the worst thing, most unwatchable thing ever. It was a bit of an exhausting 8 weeks to get through, or 7 weeks, whatever it was, but it wasn't unwatchable. Like you said, they had some very high peaks, they had some very low valleys as well, where it wasn't the worst, wasn't the best. But let's get into it. The finale. We'll start with the good of the finale. Right off the bat, the fact that they committed to the double turn, like we were talking about, and ended the series with the protagonist slowly force choking her mentor to death, a character who we all really liked. It's fucking metal. That was a metal moment in this show where I was like, okay, I thought they were going to tease the double turn and then go with the cheesy route, and they were going to use the power of two, the power of many. I thought they were going to pull that bullshit on us.
Yep.
I would have despised that. When I realized, okay, she's wearing the white, she's wearing the black, like they're doing the Luke Return of the Jedi type thing, and then she's just going to go all heel. She's going to go full Sith by the end. I was like, all right, they had some balls. I like that.
If that had happened in a show where you were more invested in the character or liked them more, I think that would have been a oh fuck moment, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that it was, I did not care about the twins. I don't know if that's on the bad or the ugly for you. I just,
yeah,
that was a real flaw. And we went into it thinking I was going to like, they were obviously the centers of the show. And by the end, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Get me out of the OSHA parts, or unless there's going to be a fight or something like that. And May, and it is crazy that like you see that you're like, holy shit, that is some gnarly stuff. And I'm trying to think like my experience with Star Wars is basically the movies, and then kind of the bigger shows that we've reviewed here. I don't know if stuff like this has happened in the cartoons where you have someone go to the dark side and just kill their master, or I guess whatever Saul was to her. But it's like, holy shit, you don't see that. You know, I haven't seen that much in the Star Wars universe. So, like the way everything goes down with Anakin is obviously one thing, but that's fucking Anakin. It's the gold standard for this kind of a turn. So, metal confirmed.
Metal confirmed. I agree with you on the twins. And I wasn't necessarily anti the twins, but I wasn't so pro the twins, which is kind of the worst spot that you want to be, especially if you're a wrestler. You know, like they would come out and I wouldn't give them any reaction. And the performances weren't bad. Like we talked about, the flashback episodes weren't great, but the actual May and OSHA they were fine. It just, I think Chimere and Soul, they had a few characters that were way more interesting than the twins, which also makes it tough.
Way more interesting. The twins were mid-carders. Give me a 90s, 2000s mid-carder, Bob, that I can compare the twins to here. Like I want to say like Saturn. Is that
Perry Saturn?
Perry Saturn. It feels like they were Perry Saturn.
Yeah, let's call them Perry Saturn.
Dean
that might be an insult
Perry
to the
Saturn.
Twins, but they're Perry Saturn. Perry Saturn, or like I could see the twins being like the Headbangers, where it's like, all right, like we like them, they're all right.
They're twins,
but it's not like you're showing up in a Headbanger shirt and a sign, you know. It's like there's much more interesting people to root for here.
And then like Chimere's like Chris Jericho, you're like, oh, this guy has something. Let's fucking
totally
cook, right?
Yeah, you're like, okay, this is the guy. Speaking of Chimere, another thing I had listed under the good was, for the most part, I thought the Chimere versus Soul lightsaber battle was great. There was like a moment or two here or there where I was like, ugh, what was that? I have one moment in the ugly. But for the most part, I was like, damn, that was fucking badass. And we heard that it was put together by the same action team that put together the Darth Vader Rogue One hallway scene. So I mean, keep hiring those people.
So I was going to say, when you were talking about what worked and what didn't work, I'm like, the writers that came up with this murder mystery that flopped, and some of the twins dialogue, which again, I think part of it was like the kids. It's hard with kid actors. If you don't, I've realized this. When a kid actor crushes, like Joffrey, you fucking hate him, hope he dies, and the actor has to like retire from Hollywood. That's a good job casting. These kids just didn't have it, whatever the reason. But the other side of it is obviously all these action scenes crushed. Those people need to be in all the future Star Wars movies, at least that involve lightsabers, because they know what the fuck they're doing. Chimere, man, he has so much gadgets with his lightsaber.
Yeah,
I can't believe
the mini saber was sick. That was the unscrew mini lightsaber. I was like, oh my god, that's badass. I loved it. I also had Vernestra, who I did pretty much hate by the end of the series. I thought good performance, because she was the worst. Her getting owned by that senator, and that senator is a good actor. He's in the Supergirl show as Martian Manhunter. And then her blaming everything on Soul to end the episode, that kind of, it's not like a monologue, but it's kind of played like a monologue where she's speaking to the Senate and putting everything on Soul. And yeah, it was just a former Jedi went crazy. I thought that was all very good, and it felt more adult than the show we started with. Like, you show the final 10 minutes of this episode to someone that has only seen the first 2 episodes, and they'd be like, what happened in the last 6 episodes? Like, the writing was pretty good in this moment, and I liked the idea of blaming it on Soul. So the Jedi still don't know about the Sith, and it's all Vernestra's fault, but look at everyone that complained about Ki-Adi-Mundi. He didn't know about the fucking Sith. Yeah, of course he didn't. They explained it. You don't think they fucking knew that? Like, come on.
Dude, all right, and is his birthday a big deal? I didn't know if this was gonna like make the birthday still a big deal. I don't even understand the birthday stuff being a big deal. So I won't pick that scab. I don't even want to start with it again. But yeah, I mean, he basically is talking about Anakin. He's like, if one of these guys gets too much power, we have a fucking problem on our hands, right? And then he helps kick off the first Galactic Alliance Empire, So I mean, that scene was awesome too. With he's a senator, is that what his technical role is? And it's kind of what we've been saying about honestly, they're kind of cooking. I'm like, yeah, the Jedi, they're just this religion, and they're extremists, right? They are fucking extremists. And the thing is, we all fall in love with the Jedi when it's Luke and Obi-Wan, and they're these good guys fighting evil. But then, especially the OG Jedi, kind of dicks. They're called them cops, narcs, whatever you want to call them. They're a fucking problem, and I don't think the way that they govern everybody and themselves was the right way to do it. And clearly it's a fucking, I imagine being able to contain, or I don't know if that's the right word for it, but raising people to use the Force is probably not an easy thing to do. And it's you could just go to the dark side very easily, I imagine. So I understand the gives and takes of it all, but yeah, it was very cool. And I feel like the Jedi aren't as good as everyone seems to make them out to be. That take is aging beautifully, and I think it's going to continue to age, because I think that's the way Star Wars is going to go, is hey, the Jedi aren't flawless either. They're denying people, taking them away from their mothers, killing their mothers maybe even, and then making them not love anything and just be focused on the Jedi are basically the baby Gronk dads of
honestly they are though. And people are acting like they just became that with the Acolyte. People are like, you're disrespecting what George thought of the Jedi. They're supposed to be good, but they were just blinded. That's true. But rewatch the prequels. George was making it pretty clear that they were not doing all the right things. I mean, they bring Anakin in. He's like an 8-year-old boy. He's like, I kind of miss my mom. And they're like, oh, this fucking kid's a bitch. You brought us a bitch. And it's like, wait, what?
Thought he was the chosen one.
I thought they were supposed to be welcoming. I thought they were supposed to make this kid feel like he's family now. No, the Jedi were not all right. So yeah, I had that as well. And then the final thing on my good for the episode is the cameos. I thought these cameos were legitimately perfect. So well done and so not self-indulgent. The Yoda one at the end had to be done, right? We were all talking about who was even alive at this time. Yoda's the obvious one. And at this point, Yoda would probably be at the top of the Jedi Council. He'd probably be the number one guy that you got to report to. So the fact that he wasn't informed about any of this, it made everyone be like, they got to tell him eventually, right? And having it at the end, having just the shot behind him, where you just see all right, they're going to fill Yoda in now, but you don't ruin any of the mystique of Yoda. I think it looked like the puppet, so you don't have to make the decision of, are we going with the puppet in the prequel era, or are we going with the CGI Yoda in the CGI Yoda era? I thought that was great. And then the one that's the big talking point from this episode, we got the live action debut of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Have you ever heard, that little, the way he turns like that? It's a great scene. But they showed us Darth Plagueis just lurking like an absolute pervert in this cave. Just his hands, his weird, creepy hands. But he looks exactly like we thought he would look from Legends, from the book, and all that. They stayed very faithful to his look. They made him look incredibly creepy. And the exact same thing they did with Yoda, they didn't ruin the mystique, which in my opinion is the best thing going for Darth Plagueis at this point. And I know there's the book that everyone loves, but that's a little different. Like the book, you create your own images in your head. To actually canonize him, make him look faithful to what he's supposed to look like, make him look creepy, but not, give us dialogue where he's talking and this and that and the next thing. I think this was perfect. And it almost makes me root for this to be a 1-season show. I could go either way. If they make another season, I'll watch it. I wouldn't be like, I can't wait for Acolyte season 2. But I think the 2 cameos at the end were so good in terms of just teasing things that I don't want any more. I don't even want any more Plagueis. I think that was perfect. Just tell us what he looks like. We know what we know about him. He's lurking. We assume he's Chimere's master, but it's not even confirmed that that's a thing. He could just be lurking on the island. I like all that.
I feel like it was the writers, both these cameos were the writers, hey, let's get renewed for a season 2 card. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got Yoda and Plagueis in the mix now. I'm weird where I always love the idea of Darth Plagueis just being kind of bullshit or more of like and this as obviously doesn't follow, I guess, the Star Wars canon, but just it was just like the Emperor's like wild draw 4 of like, now I got Anakin. Once I throw this, hook him with this one, this will get it. And Plagueis was all either he couldn't actually do that or he wasn't even like really a real thing. It was more of a, old myth or whatever. But the fact that he's here now, and I love the God bless whoever made the Darth Jar Jar. They replaced Plagueis with Darth Jar Jar. That made my fucking day. But yeah, I mean, that is one of the big oh shit. There's not a ton of oh shit characters you can introduce because most of the Star Wars characters have obviously been introduced at this point. And that was like, oh, holy fuck. And the Knights of the Ren still have to figure out what's happening there, which I mean, they keep playing Kylo Ren's music during Chimera. It's like, it just is. That is in my head canon. Boom. Founder of the Knights of Ren, a member of the Knights of Ren, whatever it may be. He's part of that. Especially if they don't make another season of this, I'm just going to have to run with that in my head.
Hey, there's a Sith rule of 2, so maybe he's collecting acolytes. He collects one that is even better than him because she's a virgin in the Force, and they do the whole thing with she's a clone, not a sister or whatever. She's the same person. Maybe Plagueis kicks Chimera out, and he has to go start the Knights of Ren instead of the Sith. Plagueis doesn't kill him. He gets away or something like that. I could see that being an actual route to that happening.
I got to figure out how Plagueis like uses these people to live forever. Like, is he just going to eat Osha? Like, I don't know
That's what I was thinking.
He does.
And I don't want to know. I actually don't want to know. I want to have these theories of like, does he eat Osha? Does he fucking transfer his life force into a new body? Does he not even know how to manipulate life? But he told Palpatine one day later on down the line, oh, I'm trying to do this. And Palpatine just ran with, oh, he knew how to do it. Like, I like all of these different theories and not knowing which one's real. So honestly, perfect use of Darth Plagueis. The bad. I have some bad stuff in this episode that I groaned at in the moment. It's just like,
hit him, Bob.
What are they doing here? The lightsaber / crystal bleeding that happens where the blue lightsaber turns red slowly. Don't get on me. I know it's happened in the books. I know it's happened in the video games. I know it's a thing established in canon. It's dumb as fuck. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. It's so on the nose and cheesy. And is the implication that this happens sometimes if someone's really angry and they have the Force running through their veins like that? Or is the implication that red lightsabers are other colors that are red in the hands of a dark side user? I hate either implication, to be honest. Like the second one, I hate. I love the idea that red lightsabers are red because they use synthetic kyber crystals. Like the Jedi are guarding the kyber crystal caves. The Sith have to use fucking janky ones, bad ones. I like that. The idea that it's like this force power that only a few could have. It's like, well, why did Anakin's lightsaber stay blue on Mustafar then? Because he was about as evil as anyone's ever been. So just that whole moment, the way it slowly like turned red, I was groaning. I was like, this is fucking dumb. Did you like that or did you not like it?
So first of all, are you telling me that Sith lightsabers are red because they get them through Temu and they can't actually get them from
yes. Exactly.
Okay, I never knew that. I kind of would love if there was one Jedi that was like, no, I found a red crystal and I'm going to be the red lightsaber. And he was him or her was so fucking good at the Force. They're like, all right, this guy's just like, it's like, trust me, he's a good guy. Like, because you see that red lightsaber, you figure all the Jedi are going to go attack him just on like principle. It's like waving the enemy flag. It's like, no, he's one of ours. He's good.
It's like Jordan getting fined for the shoes every game and just being like, I'm willing to pay the fine. Like a Jedi that has to pay 5,000 credits every time he uses a red lightsaber.
It's like, I can't use my lightsaber right now, man. I've just been using it way too much lately and I keep having to pay this goddamn fine. That's a great comparison right there. I did kind of groan at it. It reminded me of in Game of Thrones when the dragon melts down the throne at the end. And I'm like, all right, we didn't need that. However, I'm going to go ahead and crazy enough, I'm going to talk Bob off the ledge about something that is, ruining canon for people or whatever. it's a show for preteens, right? They don't know about all these little video game things or any of these, or I guess it's a teen show. They don't know about all. I don't think I've ever seen the lightsaber change, and I imagine a lot of the people that we think is the target demo for this has never seen it. So, like, if you're just seeing that for the first time, like, oh, I get it, and you think you're fucking, some English major getting all these comparisons.
Oh, she must be a bad guy now.
Now she's a bad guy because the swords happen to clash. I appreciate how they made it happen where it wasn't just she gets really puss on her face and it just turns red. It's like, oh, she's bad now. I like how everything kind of blended together, but yeah, I can't get too mad at it, but I did kind of be like, all right.
Then the forced memory wipe at the end with Chimere being like, I could try wiping all our memories. And then he does it, and it's not like Baby Yoda where he does it and then passes out, or it's not like Luke force projecting where he does it and he dies. I thought that was even a possibility where maybe this is Chimere's sacrifice for the twins. He does it. He's fine. Absolutely. I guess that worked. That seemed too convenient. And also, if he had that ability, or he thought he had that ability that he could try, me and Ken Jack were saying, why doesn't he just do that with every Jedi he's ever gotten into a fight with? Just like in the middle of a fight, boom, you're reverted back to a baby who doesn't know why that you're in this forest. So I said in my blog, the ending with the forced memory wipe and them hugging each other and them saying, I'll find you again. It felt like a high school production of Spider-Man No Way Home's ending, where it's just like, you're not hitting it. And maybe it's the thing where I wasn't so invested in the twins and their relationship. You weren't hitting the mark you thought you were hitting with that, I don't think.
And yeah, that's kind of what I attributed to. I was like, they're doing to her what they did to Pip, right? Just hold the reset button.
Yeah.
It's always hard to find that. Like, if you can use a ballpoint pen, that's the best. But if you got to find that little pin or something like that, and it's like, all right, hold that reset button for 5 seconds, boom, she's gone. And again, I was like, yeah, I don't care about the twins. So whatever's going to happen here, they'll tell me is Plagueis going to eat one of these chicks. That's all I was thinking of by the end of it with them too.
And then my final bad thing. Why the hell did Basil sabotage Soul?
Thank you. What the fuck was that all? And then he was just back on his team, and Saul was like, "Hey, man, it's all he just immediately forgot about that. That was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. I thought
did they accidentally leave that in after they cut scenes that contextualized that? It was the strangest. There's no explanation for it. People on the Star Wars Reddit, I went to the Star Wars Reddit to see if anyone was like, oh, you missed this or you missed that. People were like, is the implication that he was a slave on that ship, just working for the Jedi and didn't want to be there and then eventually snapped? Was he just mad that he mistreated one of the twins? I have no idea why that happened, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, because at some point I'm like, oh, he heard the dialogue about how Saul was complicit in the way everything went down, but then no, then he's kind of helping everybody still. So it just was that was kind of an important moment where it's all right, we're getting them, and you could I just felt like you could have figured out, oh, the hyperspace is broken again.
The ship could just break. It happens in Star Wars every time. That was just strange. And I liked Basil. We loved him the whole series. So for him to turn, but there to be no reason for the turn or no it wasn't even a moment. It was just oh yeah, he sabotaged him, and then the ship. Wait, what? He sabotaged him?
And I have this in the notes. So if you don't believe me, it's right here in chronological order. I wrote this right before he did that. I had enough of Basil by that point. I was like, once I saw him, all right, we've hit the limit with Basil. He was cute. He had done his job. He was in for 10 more minutes than I thought he was going to be in, or at least 2 more episodes than I thought. That glass droid field I was calling the glass droid field. That shit was
that was cool. That was very cool. The way they were just in the middle of it, kind of in the ring. That was sweet. Very cool, and a new look for a space battle, which is pretty rare in Star Wars.
So are we on bad or ugly right now for you?
That was bad. I only have one thing for ugly. That was my final bad thing. Okay. The only ugly thing I have is that what was that shot in the middle of Soul versus Chimere with them on wires going down from the bridge slowly? They're slowly floating down to the floor. Completely took me out of the episode. And also I saw Manny, I think his name's Manny Jacinto. He's the guy who plays Chimere the Stranger. His wife posted, or his girlfriend posted, a video of him on Instagram, watching the finale. And he just looked locked in. He didn't even acknowledge that she was filming. He was just locked into the screen. And it cuts off right before that moment. And I was like, did he in that moment turn to the camera and be like, what the fuck was that? Why did they make it look so bad? And she was like, all right, I guess I got to cut the video there. But yeah, that was my only ugly thing. I was just like, oh God, that was horrible.
Yep. That's fair. I don't have it as, I wouldn't say ugly because it was a cool looking scene. It just felt weird when they're just holding hands, staring out at the ocean, like, "Ah, we're gonna commit so
That too,
much
yeah.
evil together right now." And there is other ways to do it at different points. It just felt odd to me. So that was just my one take. And again, I gotta say it. I mean, this can go to good, bad, or ugly. R.I.P. my dog, Sol Solerston. I don't know his last name. I think Sol Solerston just feels
good.
right to me. I feel like also Jedi should be able to stop a force choke by someone that is less
Oh,
powerful.
yeah.
Or I mean, even if she's a virgin to the force and yada yada. I feel like that's reserved for like mortals like you and me. Those are like the humans, the wisecracking generals on the Death Star. They deserve to get choked to death. I feel like someone in the force, you're like, no, I have this going through my body. I will not be force choked out unless you're dealing with like a motherfucking Vader who's in full blown
Yeah.
Padme just died, and I'm just crushing larynxes. Shout out to larynx. I think I got that right.
Nice.
So
Yep.
that's today's vocab word of the day, the larynx. But that I'm like, it felt weird that again, I love the scene, I love the moment, but I was like thinking in my head, and this happens a lot with, I'm sure, Force stuff and Jedi stuff. Shouldn't be Jedi be able to stop the Force choke from happening?
Maybe he was he able to like force push her, but he was just in the moment, like I deserve to die. Like I'm not gonna hurt her anymore. I don't know.
That is the one thing. I think Saul was kind of just looking for a way out at some point. He had some real hurt in his heart. So
some demons.
Yeah, he wasn't fighting, kind of like our boy Tommen. Like he knew it was time.
Yeah. All right, that was the Acolyte. Let's tell everyone about Butcher Box, and then we will get into the Boys and the Bear. Butcher Box is an incredible sponsor. You get incredible deals on premium cuts from Butcher Box. Deals this good are very hard to come by, especially at the grocery store. Very, very high quality meat. It's amazing meat and seafood that you could trust. 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood, so you can have peace of mind. Get the ultimate convenience as Butcher Box is delivered right to your doorstep with free shipping, as always. Butcher Box has a variety of high-quality cuts at an amazing value with exclusive member deals as well. So if you sign up for Butcher Box today, you go to butcherbox.com/basement and then use the code BASEMENT, no caps, at checkout. You can enjoy your choice of bone-in chicken thighs, top sirloins, or salmon in every box for an entire year. Plus, get $20 off. Again, that's butcherbox.com/basement and use that promo code BASEMENT. Amazing. There's nothing better than a nice sirloin.
Gotta be eating good. Gotta be eating good. Our boys in the Acolyte too. I feel like they weren't eating good, and that was part of the reason why we had so much anger and everything from
the Jedi didn't get Butcher Box.
Yeah, and Butcher Box, this is the perfect time in the summer. We're just grilling. It's it's no longer 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. You just can't go wrong with it. So get some good cuts from the Butcher Box, which is a great name, all-time great name.
Great name. All right,
Billy
now
Butcher
let's get into.
We got some Billy Butcher to talk about.
Let's get into Billy Butcher. Let's get into the boys.
Before we do that, really quick, I just want to know. You don't have to give like a long answer, but where do you have Acolyte on the all-time Star Wars TV shows? So it's
last.
Mando.
I think it's probably last, to be honest.
Mando, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Andor, and this. So this is 6 out of 6. It had its moments, though. Like, there's a chance where some of its highlights were better. And I think a lot of them flopped a little bit comparatively. But I do think it is last, just like the story was a little thin.
Yeah, like even like we didn't love every second of Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan. But I think both of those shows rose to a different level because it was like, all right, I'm watching Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. And I got a scene with him and Hayden Christensen. Or, the Book of Boba Fett. All right, I just watched him drop a seismic charge in the Sarlacc pit's mouth. Like that scene alone is like, all right, it's better than the Acolyte, And
I do think Book of Boba Fett might have been below Acolyte, but they had like 2.5 Mando episodes, and that saved it completely.
That another huge. Did you see Tamora Morrison's quote about that? He had a very funny quote about that this week.
No.
He said next season of The Mandalorian, he wants to hijack an episode as Boba Fett. He's like, Mando came into my show and stole the show. I want to do the same to his. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, do that. Let the Mando people just do a Book of Boba Fett episode.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk Billy Butcher. Let's talk the boys. This season was pretty controversial. Again, just overall broad strokes thought on season 4. A lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people I saw were very down on it. I wasn't nearly as down on it as they are. I had stuff that I didn't love about it. But overall, I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't think like, oh, The Boys has fallen off. I didn't like that season. It was a lot of setup for season 5. It felt like they were stretching this season, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I like these characters. I thought it was pretty enjoyable still.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was the weakest of the 4 boy seasons so far. I don't
Probably
know
true.
if that's what's going around in terms of thoughts out there, but it sounds like you're on the same page. I think it's a lot of the same beats that we're used to. And again, I think it was like halfway through the season we found out that this is going to be the final season of The Boys, and it's like, yeah, I think it's about time. I think they've kind of hit their marks enough times, and it's starting to get a little repetitive. I think I can't do the gross out stuff anymore. I think they've officially, like, I have to close my eyes. Like, when they were sawing off the leg, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing it. Some of the bodies being ripped apart, faces coming off, I appreciate it. I know they do it better than anyone else out there. It's somehow gnarlier than Invincible, which is a very gnarly show, and it's cartoon, so they can really do whatever they want. And these fuckers just take it to the limit. They also can go a lot more X-rated and stuff. I know people were very upset. The political stuff, it wasn't. Remember, we said going into the season, we thought the political stuff was going to be like a problem, or it was going to really be a little too heavy-handed. I do think there were some times I'm like, but it wasn't as bad as I feared.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of honestly my main thing to skip ahead to the bad.
Mm-hmm.
The political stuff was my main thing there, where I wrote it almost went from a political satire to like a political parody. When we're building up to like everything's going to happen on January 6th and make America strong again and make America super again. And you're doing even, I think The Deep at one point, maybe in the penultimate episode, did the womp womp, which was like a huge story. Remember when the guy said womp womp on television? Just like when you're directly quoting politicians, that's when I start to be like, all right, I would rather you do a little subtlety. And I know it's The Boys, so the subtlety is not like their strong suit, but like just a little bit where it's not like, I want to still imagine that this is its own universe. And a lot of the stuff this season reminded me like, oh, they're talking about Donald Trump. And fine, you know where my politics lie, but like it was just heavy-handed.
Yeah, at some point I do like I like escaping the world I'm living in right now.
Yes.
and
that's how I felt with the beginning seasons. Like when
Yeah.
Homelander's like destroying the plane in season 1 or whatever, it's like, I'm not thinking of like, oh, this is a commentary on the Republican Party. It's just like, oh, this is like a crazy, interesting story.
Yeah, a superhero gone rogue, and everyone thinks they're great. It turns out they're not so great. That was my favorite thing about The Boys, and then the whole entertainment aspect and money and power and how they're all corruptible. That was what I loved about it. And again, it's just like, yeah, it goes from satire to like commentary. And listen, like, I do think there are some jokes that can obviously be made, but it's like when you're really being heavy-handed with, like you said, January 6th, Make America Super. I'm like, man, I have to live in this world. I don't want to have to then like go on, get an hour of just brainless. I already can't take like all the deaths, gruesome death things, and now I have to like. There's like 4 parts of the show I'm gonna like now at this point. So I'm with you on that. It wasn't as bad for the whole season as I thought. And, you know, some of the Barbs, like Firecracker, whatever her name is, she is kind of just like, she plays that role perfectly. But yeah, it's like, we're really being very, it's like January 6th, yada, yada, yada. So all in all, though, like, I still think a good season.
Yes, agreed. Like again, it's stuff I said about other shows. I think I've said it about like The Bear. The worst stuff from The Boys is still better than a lot of the stuff on television, in my opinion.
Better than a lot of the best stuff from the MCU lately. To be honest, we've talked about that. Right?
Yeah, like it's still at least The Boys has that factor of like, what the fuck? Every episode, you'll be like, oh my God, what just happened? Like that. I'm looking at a giant penis right now. Like the MCU doesn't have those, what the fuck, anything could happen factors. Let me go through. I'm just going to go through my general, the good for The Boys season, and then you can pick on whatever you want to talk about as well. I thought the shapeshifter storyline was pretty good. I always enjoy like we don't know, anyone could be in the room with us. The way Erin Moriarty played Starlight while she was the shapeshifter was great. Like you could tell it was a different person. Everything involving Ashley this season I thought was great. I thought she was like actually a highlight for me. Her being the leak, her being involved with the Tech Knight shit, which that whole episode was,
God, I forgot about that.
Insane. The fact that they shot Sage in that episode and she like reverted back to baby talk was very funny. Homelander exposing Victoria Newman on live television was a truly shocking moment that felt like I'm not on Victoria Newman's side, but it felt like it like slipped through my hands. Like when he did it, I was like, oh my God, 4 seasons of fucking hiding this for, oh my God, it's just happening right now. And then Butcher killing her was even more shocking.
Yep.
Like I, I thought if anyone's dying in the finale, it's A-Train or the Deep. I thought they were both kind of primed for like you could kill off either one of them. Did not think Newman was going to get it. And then him just even Butcher giving in to his tumor or whatever and the split personality, like, and he looks young at the end. I thought that everything, the way they handled that was great. I thought the storyline with Huey and his dad was well done. Sad, obviously, but pretty well done. The post-credit scene, Soldier Boy, pretty awesome. And then the two other things, Kimiko finally having her moment where she's screaming, no, that hit you in the feels. And I thought the Gen V cameos were also well done, where you didn't have to watch Gen V to get it. But if you did watch Gen V, it's a nice little treat for the fans. That was what I had for the good.
I co-sign all of those. And yeah, I think with Gen V, Marvel does it sometimes where if like you haven't seen the movies. I think even Endgame, if you didn't watch like more than like 2 Marvel movies, you'd be like, oh, that was a good movie. And but it's like then if you saw it, you're like, oh my God, we met, Tony Stark's dad, you got to meet his dad and blah blah blah. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of levels to that. Sage coming back and being like, no, I've been running this shit. I knew
that was good.
You're gonna fuck it up too. Which like she's smart enough to know Homelander is a fucking moron in a lot of ways, right? So
and she had that Caesar line towards him, where she's like, "You're gonna be just like Caesar."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, he doesn't have a good ending.
And
Homelander was like, "Yeah, I am. Fuck yeah."
And I like as someone that obviously I'm rooting for the boys and against the evil soups. I'm like, man, thank God Sage is out of the picture. She was a real problem, and I'm like so mad at myself for not being like, she's gonna probably still fuck things up here because she's smart enough and she has her own real like way around it. So I thought that was like a really interesting character. And when she gets dumb and she just wants to fucking eat shitty food, that was
gross too with the brain poke through the eye. Ugh.
Disgusting.
She was good though. She's one of my favorite additions to this season, just because you had someone in the room with Homelander that could kind of serve
on his level, if not above that. I have to say I didn't hear it on the good list, and I don't know if he just didn't put it on or if you have it on bad or ugly. I did like the basically Billy Butcher Fight Club reveal, where it's like these are just he's talking to fake people, he's talking to
so ghosts. I had that on my bad, and it's not because I didn't like the storyline. I actually loved every scene with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I thought they played off each other perfectly. The only reason I put it on the bad is I felt like I knew it from episode 1. Like immediately I was like, all right, he's talking to his wife who's not there. And then he's in scenes with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Every scene with him is just the two of them. I was like, he's got to be fake. So when they actually pulled the reveal, me and my girlfriend kind of viewed it more as like it's the reveal that he finally caught on. Like,
yeah.
Was the audience supposed to know the whole time, or was that supposed to be a reveal for everybody?
I don't know. But this is the thing. I liked that the way that they did it and the reveal where you just see people being like, what the fuck is this guy?
That was good.
Like,
yeah.
He's legitimately crazy.
Pouring the drink. That was good.
Yeah. At the same point, it was like, they did that. They had the conversations a lot. And by the end, I'm like, all right, I don't need another conversation with you two. I understand what's going on. I mean, they kept raising the stakes, or he kept being like, I'm telling you. I think that's what led to him, just ripping Newman apart. Newman getting ripped apart was, I mean, if you're going into the finale, being like, who's going to die? You're saying, like you said, A-Train's pretty high on the favorite list. A-Train and the Deep are probably like plus 125, plus 200. The President's up there, obviously.
Ashley, I thought they were going to kill her for sure. And her hitting herself with the fucking compound V and like her brain starts going. People were saying, like, is she going to become She-Hulk in this universe?
I said she is going to be the most like disgusting, vile superhero villain, whatever you want to call it, because that's what she is in her core.
Yeah.
And listen, anyone that's worked in corporate America knows someone like Ashley, and they are the fucking worst. That character triggered me more than any exploding dicks or people's family members getting murdered. So I'm excited to see what happens to her. Shout out to that actress because she plays that fucking, I'm gonna say it, that cunt role so very well.
I think she would agree that Ashley is not the best. And some people are saying because Billy Butcher kind of has like the snakes. That's his power coming out of his chest and shit. They were saying, what if she has like Medusa hair? Because the wig and that all that. I could see that as well.
That would be great. Also, got to shout out Tech Nine's playlist. That music, he was just. I'm like, oh my god, we got nothing but bangers going on in the free cave right now. Him
That
getting
was an
killed,
insane episode. That
insane.
whole episode is insane.
And there's times where my kids are like kind of just like pacing around. Like if one of them wakes up at like the wrong time, like all right, like we'll hold you as we watch House of the Dragon. Just hope it's not like Damon going down at his mom or anything like that. But that I was like, if I even heard a footstep, I'm like pause. We are not watching because I mean he's just like I'm covered in so much cum. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
But that's the stuff about The Boys that keeps you on your toes. So I do appreciate that for sure. For sure.
And then the only two things that I didn't mention from my bad list, I didn't like the fact that they nerfed Starlight for the whole season. Every single scene with Starlight is her about to use her powers, and then she's unable to. I like seeing Starlight kick ass, so I didn't love that. And I didn't really like the Frenchie storyline either. I think I just want him and Kimiko to be together. So this whole season felt like a waiting game of just like, all right, what can we think of for both of them to keep them apart till season 5? And every moment with them apart, him denying the visitation and all that, I was just kind of like, I'd rather just they be together.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think this whole season, which I think we're going to get into with the Bear, I think it was a lot more. I'm like, not a lot happened. I mean, by the end, a shitload happened, right?
Yeah,
but I think
the finale had everything.
Yeah, but and that's the thing with The Boys. I always appreciated. It's like you could watch every episode on its own and be like, oh, I got like something out of that, and we're moving along. Which I always one of my gripes of Marvel is it's not like that with a lot of their shows. Where this season it wasn't. You still got stuff, but it wasn't. Like the finale, they did a shitload in. And I do think like The Boys are probably a good chunk of my favorite characters in the show. The Huey stuff with his dad, awesome. And that entire thing of the mom being lumped into it as well. But like Mother's Milk at this point, like he's kind of just, I'm not loving his scenes. Butcher is just like an outcast. And it's like, I don't know. Like Butcher is what really made me fall in love with The Boys the first few seasons.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just going rogue, which I understand is how his characters are going to go. And hopefully season 5 will be a little different.
Do you think he's gonna like I've seen people speculating that he's the final villain of The Boys, like Butcher. Like people are speculating on The Boys Reddit that Butcher will at some point before the finale kill Homelander, and then Huey will have to kill Butcher in the end. That would be heartbreaking, but I could see it happening. I'm more inclined to believe that the cure, the fucking, genocide, the superhero vaccine thing, I think Butcher might take that. I might just kill the tumor. Because when he gave in to the tumor, it's like the tumor's running his body or something. I could see that happening. I think Butcher probably will kill Homelander and die with him. But I don't know. Because then, like, what is Huey's final thing or whatever? Maybe he helps Butcher in that. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think there could be a Huey Butcher showdown and then a Ryan Homelander showdown, right? Where it's like the father and son side of things. I do think the most like delicious ending would be Homelander getting hit with something that saps some of his powers and his entire identity in life is just gone, and he has to live like a normal like us. So
he has my body under the suit.
That would be incredible.
And then I had a quick 3 things for ugly. Killing Mallory just felt ugly. Just Ryan killing her was so sad because she was like Butcher's woman, like the one that he could trust, the one that was still felt like family to him. Just her getting thrown across the wall. I was like, that was ugly by the showrunners.
Aunt Grace. That was Grace. I refused to lie. I was, she's not dead, right? My wife said she's not dead, right? I'm like, no. I'm like, I think that is her neck bone though, but I didn't like that.
I didn't like that. The giant dick at the end of the finale that in the literal sense was ugly. And then any replay of Web Weaver's web hole. I was tired of seeing that web hole by the end.
I was so done with Web Weavers. I was so done with him. I was like, kill this motherfucker now. It's not even anything against him. He's kind of a freak, but he knows he's a freak. But that I couldn't deal with the web hole anymore.
Good storyline with him though, bringing him in. And it's funny that Invincible brought in like Arachnakid and the boys brought in Web Weaver, and they were both rip-off Spider-Man. I thought that was funny, and the fact that he was like the no cap guy, like when Huey was trying to fit in, you'd be like, oh yeah, no cap on God.
I loved all the nonsensical bullshit. Actually,
that episode did make me think though, like Homelander has X-ray vision. Why doesn't he just look at fucking Huey and know that it's Huey under the suit or something? Or can he smell him? Or like, I don't know. Whatever. I don't mean to pick it apart in that way.
I'm going to do another category here. Great. I'm going to give you 2 greats.
Okay.
Number 1 great, the Homelander basically episode where he's just going at all the people that raised him. That was, I don't know the actor's name, but people were like Emmy after this. And then I
Oh,
watched it and it
Anthony
was like,
Starr, yeah.
and I watched it. I was like, yeah, Emmy. That guy that's so fucking haunting. And like, you're like, all right, he's just going to like cook that guy. And that's going to be the end of it. And he'll probably just murder everyone else. And then what does he call it? Like the sad room or something like that. He just locks her up and all those people are just destroyed. So
The
that
shot of him in the elevator that everyone's reposted of just him covered in blood is like, holy shit, what a visual.
Yeah. And I don't, this might be more good than great, but the ice skating where you're just like, oh, there's going to be a lot of bad stuff that's going to happen to these people on the ice right now. There's a lot of sharp blades and, you know, ice makes a good canvas for blood. And you just knew that shit was going to go very, very, and my wife actually really liked all the, like the flying sheep and shit like that. I didn't love it as much.
That was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. There you go. The Boys season 4. And now on to The Bear season 3. Again, this was not finale this week. This was, they put it all out at once. I don't know if that's the best way they could do this at this point. And like, maybe it is because the way everyone watched this and binged it, but still with a show like The Bear, I feel like it could be in the discussion for weeks, for months, but instead people have kind of moved on already. A lot of people were disappointed by this season for a lot of the same reasons people were disappointed in The Boys. We talked about that. Like, it's a lot of stuff where it feels less connected than previous seasons. It feels more like a setup than previous seasons. But still, like I said about The Boys, I enjoyed it. I really liked this season of television and like had a good time watching it. Pretty much every episode. Every episode made me laugh. And I can't say that about most shows on television.
Yeah. And the fact it's nominated for all these comedy Emmys, everyone's like, it's not a comedy, it's a drama. It's like, I understand, man. They probably thought this is, do they get to submit? If they do, they're like, maybe there's an easier path for comedy Emmys than drama Emmys, since like comedy has basically killed, it seems like, recently.
It does ride the line too. Like those episodes are right on the comedy drama. Like,
one thing I don't think you can. So, all right. So I'll give my overall thoughts on the season. I think it felt like a long setup season. I think you're just like, what happened? Like my wife, when it was over, she's like, what happened this season? I'm like, and listen, The Boys had that finale and it was like, oh shit, everything, you know, now we're cooking for the final season. This one felt like a lot of flashbacks and a lot of like world building. And this is the thing. I understand why people did not like this season. If they felt like nothing really happened, it was more of a setup. It didn't hit the high points of Fishes and Forks, which I think Fishes and Forks is like the best thing and the worst thing to happen to the show. I think it got a lot of people on and made a lot of people go from liking the show to loving it. But I also thought it set super high expectations for people coming in for the first time. And then people continue to watch it. We're like, all right, when are we getting the masterpiece episode? Now, I like it. I like this season, and I like the series more because I think it did a great job world building. All those flashbacks, it kind of like I just like being around these characters. Now, granted, it's like a fucking heart attack every single time because you're dealing with all the shit that comes with the restaurant business and these personal lives. But man, like I really enjoy these characters. The first episode of the season was like beautifully shot. I said it's like I have to talk to like Jeff D. Lowe and Ken Jack to be like, what is it? Graphic design? You know, what are the set design? Whatever it is, it's shot beautifully, cinematography, all that kind of stuff. It was perfect, and they don't really say a lot, but they tell you a lot. But this was my big takeaway from the season. So after the finale of season 3, I was like, man, I feel like I know these characters so much more. Like Tina, the Tina episode, you learned so much about her. I went back to season 1 and I've rewatched the first half of season 1, and it makes so much more sense now. We hated Cousin in season 1. Now you understand why he is the way he is. You understand what the restaurant is before Carmy comes in. You understand what Carmy is, you know, personally, and how he's viewed by Richie and everyone else. You know what Tina's about now that you have her story. Mark, everyone, you know, every single character. You learned a lot more about this season, and I do think it was like a full season worth of TV that had to go into it to make you feel like that. But like, I think it does suffer from the binge, like you said. I think if you did one a week, you probably have a lot of people who are like, what the fuck happened? I think if you release 2 a week, They're these like heavy episodes. You could probably rewatch a couple times. They're beautiful episodes to watch in terms of just the way they look. I think people would be happier with them, but maybe that's just the way that Hulu and FX, even the fucking whole, it's FX, but it's on Hulu, so it's not even
I
on
know,
FX.
it's weird.
It
Yeah.
makes no sense. It's so in this fucking weird world we're living in the 2020s with the digital world that I feel like that's part of the flaw of the Bear. That's not even its fault, but I do think it does impact the way people watch it, talk about it, and look at the entire series as a whole.
Yeah. I had just a few things each for this one because it's hard to break down in the same way we break down The Boys and The Acolyte. The first thing I wrote, the facts. I absolutely love the facts. And them bringing in John Cena as a fact, them bringing in the Uncle fact this season, and the Uncle, that scene where he's talking to them about the hauntings, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's a haunting. And one of the facts is just like, what the fuck? Like, it was making me laugh so hard. The scene where they're ripping cigarettes and he's like, why does it smell like cigarettes in here? He's like, we're ripping darts. Like, everything with the facts makes me laugh. Also, you mentioned it, Tina's backstory episode. It's my favorite episode of the season. I thought it was so good in immediately making us care way more than we ever did about this background character. Not background character, but she's not like Carmi, Richie, or Sid or whatever. Like
secondary to tertiary character. That's what
yes. And to make her so likable and so like this actress does such a good job. She feels like Tina. Like I can't imagine her. I know she was on like NYPD Blue or something. She played like cops in the past. I can't picture her as anyone but this actual character. I feel like this is her life story. And that conversation between her and Mikey, oh my God, like it pulled at your heartstrings in every way you wanted it to. It made you feel good. It made you feel sad. It was bittersweet because obviously what happens to him later on, just getting John Berthal back in the show. I love that every season he comes back for a little scene, a little cameo here or there. I thought that was all fantastic. The last two episodes of the season, I thought did the best job in feeling like previous Bear. Like they actually felt like they moved the story along the most. For bad, it's not even like bad stuff that I hated. It's just it didn't feel as focused as we mentioned. And I felt like we didn't get enough Carm, Sydney, or Richie this season. Like my three favorite characters. I like them. I like them together. I like seeing more of like we got it early on where they were arguing over the way the kitchen was working and stuff. But it felt like almost like The Empire Strikes Back. Everyone split off from each other, and then you have to come back. And then Ugly. The only thing I had for Ugly is the way that people are talking about ice chips. The episode where Nat goes into labor and you bring back Jamie Lee Curtis. People are talking like this is the most unwatchable episode of television ever. They're saying it's far and away the worst episode of The Bear. I didn't even know that until I was done with the season pretty much. Like, I think we talked about it maybe last week, but just, I don't know. I didn't leave that episode being like, The Bear's the best show in the world, but it was just another episode of The Bear to me. Like, and we didn't get the restaurant stuff. And I know people like the restaurant stuff, but just the relatableness of like the family dynamics that they put forward and how realistic it feels whenever Jamie Lee Curtis is even in the fold. I thought it was fucking great. An emotional ending to that one where her husband shows up. Her husband, by the way, I wanted more of him this season because he is so goddamn funny, just always trying to do the right thing and always messing up and doing the wrong thing. So, yeah, I guess I would put that in my bad as well. Not enough of Nat's husband.
I love that guy. And I rewatched season one, obviously. And there's just a couple of lines he has. And everyone just like loathes him, but it's like he's not a bad guy.
No, he's always trying to do the right thing. Yeah.
The fishes, stuff when he brings the extra fish. Why the fuck would you bring it? That would be 8 fishes. Fucking jerk off. It's just incredible. I also had no problem. So I went into Ice Chips. I heard a few things like, oh, it was bad. It was terrible. I heard it was like super. It was like, fishes in terms of just getting your anxiety level up. And I watched it. Now, if you want to tell me like, hey, it's kind of not the Jamie Lee Curtis character that we thought we were going to get from, the first time, but she's, I think, tried to grown, alcoholic. She clearly has some fucked up shit, dating back to the dad. Obviously her son killed himself as well. But I was fine with it. It was like, it did seem a little weird where she's talking about, oh, this is how this kid was and this is how that kid was, and it's not what you're expecting. So I'm like, whatever. I can see some people not liking it. I'm fine with it. The chaos of a delivery room is chaos. I've been there twice, and I never want to go back again. But then I read from, again, I go on the Reddit and stuff like that. And a lot of people are like, I have a mom who's like Jamie Lee Curtis, and that's exactly who she is. And I'm like, well, if these people are telling me that, and I'm like, just like David Chase with Sopranos,
Yeah.
and everything about Liv is his mom in real life. I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is one of the writers or director or whatever it may be. And there's a reason why this character played such a big role in Fishes in this episode, and obviously at the opening of the restaurant when she doesn't even attend, right? And she tells Nat's husband, "Don't tell them I'm here."
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like it's the first time they've seen each other since that night, and it is kind of like a crazy.
And their hug is nice. Like when they hug each other, and he's like, "What do I do?" And she's like, "Just be there for her," and then walks out. Like that was like a really emotional moment of television. I thought you could have probably spliced in like going back and forth from the delivery room to the restaurant, and included more characters. But yeah, again, it wasn't the best episode of television ever, but again, only a Sith deals in absolutes. It wasn't the worst either.
Yeah, I think even like the thing where it's like you tell she doesn't want to listen to her mom with the he.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we all have done it with our parents. Even if you have a good relationship with your parents, you're like, all right, whatever, mom, I'm gonna do it my way. And then we realize their way works, and she's had 3 fucking kids, obviously knows what she's talking about, and she's begrudgingly starts doing it. I love Abby Elliott.
Yeah.
I loved Abby Elliott back when she was on SNL. I was like, the fact she's Chris Elliott's daughter will never stop blowing my mind. I didn't know.
I did not know that.
Could create such a great actress, let alone such a great looking woman as well. So shout out Chris Elliott, who's one of my all-time favorite, like, bit characters in SNL, and just an all-time funny dude. I was a big
I just learned that. Wow, that's
live
crazy.
on the pod, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she rules. Like you said, John Barenthal, every time, like that's one of the best parts about this show being so flashback heavy is they can just throw him in there. So you're just basically getting like a fucking ace of spades you can just throw down on the table at any time. He absolutely crushes it. I will push back a little. I love the facts. There were times where I'm like, I'm being fact out right now. And I wish that there was, maybe they would disperse some of their stuff into the different seasons. I liked some of the haunting stuff. At some point, the haunting stuff got a little too much for me. And something about John Cena just took me out of it. I don't know if it was
really
cameo of John Cena or just how ridiculous his character was at some point. You think he's going to fuck up the buffing of the floor, right? That's what you're like kind of full with anxiety with. But I think the facts and John Cena in particular kind of split both ways, as well as the uncle that you mentioned. But I do like, there was also moments where I'm like, I just fucking love these fucking big old idiots here, right?
They're a little more self-aware about the facts than they have been in previous seasons.
Right? You felt that, right?
Yeah, they get to the point where you start riding the line of like, are they a parody of themselves at this point? I think they wrote it well. For me at least, they didn't cross that line. But yeah, again, weird cameos this season. Last season we got the episode with like Mulaney and Odenkirk and Sarah Paulson, right? Like all those people. This season we got John Cena and Josh Hartnett. Like that was when Josh Hartnett opened that door. I was like, what the fuck is he doing here?
It took me like 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's Josh Hartnett, right? Or is it just a dude who just really looks like Josh Hartnett? But that is like the worst. If your ex-wife is gonna marry Josh Hartnett, like poor Richie, man, he has enough
and wants him to go to the wedding so bad. Like, that too. It's just like, oh, she's like, yeah, even if it really hurts, like, I want you to be there. It's like, Richie's gonna do it because he's a good guy, but let him just fucking drive around in his car listening to Taylor Swift instead.
Best friend's dead. Ex-wife marrying Josh Hartnett, and like,
at least he knows how to respect himself now.
That's true. His own, like his whole, like you can tell his whole family. Whenever they bring up family, he's like, "Oh yeah, mine too." Like he was basically raised by Donna. It sounds like, and that was her own set of fucking, craziness in herself. So that was, I felt bad for Richie. And again, I think I'm telling everyone, if you like this season, if you hated this season, no matter what you did, go back to season 1. And I'm telling you, it really unlocks a whole new universe. And I like the Bear universe probably more than this season. And it just gets better. I just like hanging out with these people and seeing what's going to go on in their lives. And obviously you root for them. I like the computer. I thought Computer was a fun character. And they're just like, if you fucking lay off Marcus, I'm going to fucking kill you. And like, he just sees things in black and white. He sees things in green, right? And I appreciate that about him. And he's clearly a guy. That's the thing. When you bring in a character that has like, that these people have known for a while, you feel like they actually have known him for a while, and the way they interact. I guess it's just good acting.
Yeah.
Sydney getting the new apartment, I thought was going to be a bigger deal. I like the interactions with her and her dad. Marcus was obviously bummed for the beginning of the season. I was happy once we kind of got him back in the mix. It was great seeing Marcus kind of, get back into it. Tina stuff. Tina saying she was 46 years old and like has no skills now and these fucking kids. That was as someone that has crossed to the other side of 40, that triggered the fuck out of me. My wife and I are like, yo, we're not that far from where Tina is in this show right now. And that is not cool, man. So I really need Dave Portnoy to stop fucking riding boats in the harbor, because
Yeah,
if
we
God
need him
forbid
alive.
something happens to him, I am going to be like, I don't know how I throw what I've done the last decade at Barstool Sports on a resume and have someone hire me. So
Just a dozen trivia champ. That's all you need.
There we go. But like even you said, like when Tina goes into the restaurant and just the way they're interacting with the customers, having fun with everyone, I'm sure that's kind of like you go to the beef, you expect to have that kind of banter. The fact that like he just gives her the beef for free, gives her the free black coffee, and she's just hanging out there. It was
That made me feel so good.
Yeah. I also like, as someone that has done the job hunt for a while, like that whole resume grinding, hoping for an interview, hoping for a job, that triggered the fuck. I wanted to throw up everywhere.
That made me sad for her. I've seen like my mom go through that, and it's like, it's so relatable. Even her just sitting there when she gets the free sandwich and she just starts sobbing, and like she just wants that moment to herself, and they all pick up on it and obviously help her out. But that moment the acting was amazing. Even the scenes with her husband, who was played by the guy who played Detective Batista in Dexter. He was like one of my favorite Dexter characters. The scenes where they're just talking about him getting laid off or whatever, and him not getting a raise that he was waiting on a promotion. Like it all felt so real, that episode. And shout out Io, Sydney. She directed it. That was the first episode she ever directed.
When we saw that, we're like, oh shit, she crushed that. Obviously that's kind of the one episode I feel like is being like universally loved by people.
Yeah.
I think there's still some people who don't like it, but I think a lot of people do. I also heard somewhere that her husband in that episode is her husband in real life for like 30 years. Is that true?
I don't know. I believe it.
Because the way they play off each other was incredible. And I read that somewhere and I was like, again, I don't know if it's 100% true, but it would make sense if it was true. I'm just going through the other characters here. Finding out that that one guy, Sweeps, was a baseball player and how he played he was like use steroids and shit like that. I love that. And that's something I never picked up on, that he used to play baseball. But then I watched season 1 and there's a couple like lines in there about how I played the Cardinals and this and that. And I was like, oh shit, like it was pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff that you miss. Bringing back the guys like Chi and the other dude to like run the beef, I thought was a cool little way to, and again, you see them in season 1. So there's a lot of stuff that ties in together. And I think when this series is over, I think it's been one of those things that you could just watch in a loop and you're going to like really feel like all these characters. It's a character driven show. Of course, every show is a fucking character driven show, but this one in particular, I think is really good. And then what's his name? Joel McHale. Like you just learned to
what an asshole.
Hate that motherfucker. You're just like, and the
fact you feel like Carmy in that conversation, like the rage was building inside of me. Like, are you not acknowledging this? Like, are you really just like saying like he's almost like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash? He's almost got that like, yeah, I pushed you to that level that you wanted to get to. Whatever it took, I pushed you there. Yeah.
And it's very interesting if Carmy does realize he's doing the same thing to Sid here by, not being as tough on her, which he definitely is tough on her, but like changing the menu every night, making this thing an entire, and now it's like, I was hoping we were going to get in the season finale. Is she leaving to go with this Adam Shapiro guy, or is she staying? And now obviously that's going to, go to next season. And then the review drops. I heard someone say, does Joel McHale, since he's no longer a chef, is he now the reviewer and he reviews Carmy's restaurant? And that's why he said motherfucker. I don't know. That was a good potential twist there. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So obviously the review and the stuff with Sydney is kind of just
I just got to shout out. It sounds like someone's trying to get out from under your desk.
I just made someone drive off the road now. I apologize to Mr. Snyder there.
Again, overall, I thought the season was going to be different. I thought it was going to go in a different direction, where I thought the whole season, based on the trailer, was going to be about everyone from the Bear trying to get Claire back for Carmy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost what season 4 is going to be, because you're still in that moment where they had the facts go talk to her, but like she's not like, oh, I'll go on a date with them tomorrow. So I feel like you have to, but I don't know if you can just like get them back together at the beginning of the season. You know, I feel like the whole season's going to have to lead to them getting back together. Maybe Sydney going off and starting her own successful restaurant. I don't know. Yeah. But I am excited because I saw some people say it felt like Hulu or FX asked for another season and they had 3 ready to go. So they wrote this season to be a buffer in between the final season. I would imagine the team behind this has the final season like locked and loaded.
I think they shot some of it too, right? They said they shot.
I think
3.
they did.
Originally, it was that they shot them together and it's all done. I think they started 3 with 4, and they have 4 in the can. So it does make sense if they just maybe stretched it out a little. The Claire stuff, like in the end, like I hope he ends up with Claire because she's obviously good for him. But at the same point, like Joel McHale, his mom, his family, for lack of a better term, like they're all part, and himself are all part of the reason why he's so flawed and fucked up as a character. He's a great chef because of it, but he's, as a human, he's getting fucked up. It's going to fuck up his business if he loses Sydney because of it. So there's a lot of like stuff up in the air. Like the whole, I'm just happy it's not just I'm like, I get back with Claire. Now I'm happy.
Yeah.
The show is much deeper than just like the girl and the guy ending up together. That clearly, like, she's almost like too fucking perfect. You're like, this goddamn woman is the greatest. She's a fucking doctor and cares about all her patients so much. So I
roll my eyes at every single person that wants Carmi and Sid to get together too.
Oh,
have you seen those people?
Yes.
That's just the most basic, like, oh, he's the main guy, she's the main girl. Let's put them together. No, that's not their relationship. I don't want to see that ever.
But at the same time, I'm hoping Richie gets together with the girl from Olivia Colman's restaurant. I'm like, they're perfect 100%. Together. So I'm doing the same shit with a much lesser character. By the way,
they're at least flirting, like they're flirting back and forth, and there's a thing there. Sydney and Carm, there's nothing there.
There was a scene in season 2, and it's continued to season 3 for sure. I also had a shot. I was like, I wasn't happy that the restaurant closed, but I was so happy we went back. We get Olivia Colman hangs out. She's making the frozen food by the end. The speech was awesome. And I guess kind of her like words to Carm. She's like, I don't want you to call me chef anymore. I want you to call me by my name. So I thought that was very cool. She got nominated for an Emmy. I saw Jamie Lee Curtis. I think they got nominated for like 26 Emmys or something crazy. So I'm interested
and to see the best nomination is Bob Odenkirk got nominated for like a guest appearance Emmy. And they were like, imagine he wins his first Emmy from The Bear after 15 years of playing Saul Goodman.
That would be really funny. That would be, oh shit.
He never won one?
I'm shocked.
Like, bro, Better Call Saul didn't win a single award ever in its entire time on television, just because they were always up against like Succession and Game of Thrones, and like they were always up against the best of the best. But they got nominated, I think, more than any other show that's never won. They have like 100 nominations, 0 wins.
I'm famously, I said like first 3 seasons of Saul I was in on, and I just couldn't do it. And I know people say it got better, and people even like those seasons. That's fine. It just wasn't for me. I watch the YouTubes to just know what happened.
Yeah.
But the fact he never got it for any of the Breaking Bad stuff, where he crushed his soul just as well, that's mind-boggling. But I'm also I've been out on the Emmys as like a source for the best of the best when The Wire was not winning shit, not nominated for shit. That's when I was like, the Emmys, like, they can go fuck themselves. However, this Emmys coming up is the most anticipated.
You want the Bear to win everything?
No, there is a bet. There's a bet. Did you see the bet?
No.
So Unfrosted got nominated for best TV movie or whatever.
TV movie, I saw that.
And Stephen Shea, proud as a peacock, the biggest fan of Unfrosted at Barstool, is like, I told you. And he's like, and then Jeff D'Lo chimes in and he's like, that's not gonna win, blah blah blah. And Steven goes, he's like, I think Jeff D'Lo said, if Unfrosted wins best movie, I'm gonna throw my Emmys in the garbage. And Steven says, well, can I have one of your Emmys if Unfrosted wins?
An Emmy bet.
And Jeff D'Lo said, yes, you can. So Stephen Shea could win an Emmy if Unfrosted wins an Emmy. So I'm like, that's the only I obviously want the Bear to win, yada yada yada. but it's like I just got to see if Steven Shea gets one of Jeff D'Lo's. It's just
Jeff D'Lo's Emmy is on the line. Someone needs to
Yeah.
make a WWE like a match card, like Jeff D'Lo versus Steven Shea, with like the Emmy and a Pop-Tart in the middle.
Emmy in the bank. It's like a Money in the Bank.
Yes.
So yeah. Oh, the other thing was Cicero, like the whole thing where he's kind of losing his money, like that's kind of hanging over our heads here. We don't know how all that's.
He's great in the show too. He's
so
awesome.
I just rewatched the episode where they go do the hot dog thing at his house. That's where it's like you forget this show was a little like wacky in the first season. Everyone takes Xanax. Remember, it falls in the ecto.
They drug the kids, right?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this show that's more of a comedy thing than kind of what it's become in terms of the drama. So again, I just ask everyone, if you don't hate the show, go back and watch rewatch season 1, and it really does age incredibly well. I'm
going to have to do that. You told me like episode 1 in particular, like you'll already be like, oh, that and that and that. I got to do that for sure. Cause I finished something the other day on Hulu, and the first episode of Dave started, which I love. I think it's a hysterical show, but I hadn't watched the first episode in years. And even like doing that was fun and cool. And like, oh, look, that's them meeting. And I'll have to do that. That was not only the Acolyte, not only the boys, not only the Bear, but also Marvel News finale week edition of My Mom's Basement. I would say
that's
the
our
giant
hashtag.
Size. Yeah, finale week for sure.
All capital letters too in the hashtag. All capital.
All caps finale week. I hope you enjoyed the giant size edition. 90 minutes we went here, and we will be back next week, early in the week, actually. Probably Tuesday the episode is going to come out. It's going to be a Deadpool and Wolverine preview show. We're going to talk about Logan in that, and we're also going to pair it with an interview with someone that's in the movie. Little tease for you. So look out for that. It's going to come out on Tuesday. And then, of course, on Thursday night, our Deadpool and Wolverine recap will drop. We'll also see you, if you're a House of the Dragon fan, right after the episode this Sunday.
Grinding in the basement. Grinding.